Running the DOS version of Heretic on my Lenovo Duet Chromebook using the app called Magic DOSbox to do a DOSbox emulator for Android. I did a Quake video explaining some of the advanced features that I've figured out just through trial and error on here. So if you swipe down from the top, you hit the back button, it'll bring this menu up. We can adjust the screen on here. So by default it tries to stretch it out to match the Duet screen, but you could change that. So you go to custom, and if you bring it down to, I think it's 80%, that'll get you your true 4:3 aspect ratio like how it was on PC, but I think it looks fine stretched out a little bit, so I'm just going to hit back on here. And some of these old DOS games kind of got mouse support, and I was saying on my Quake video, if you've got, and I got a Bluetooth mouse hooked up here. If you want to get rid of this pointer, this Magic DOSbox program, it looks like it's hard-coded to use the mouse wheel for certain functions. So if you mouse down on the wheel, you can get rid of that pointer, and then you won't have any of the weird control issues. But this game isn't really made for using a mouse, so it doesn't necessarily work correctly, and I don't want to go through trying to figure out how to customize it. Now, to get your pointer back, and this is important before you quit the app, you need to roll up on the mouse wheel. It'll bring this menu up, and you'll get your pointer back. And then if you just want to make your pointer disappear, just hit a key on the keyboard. But in case you didn't watch the Quake video, I'll show you how I did all this. So swipe down from the top of the screen, hit back, we can quit out of here. Let's quit the app. And this is the main program in here. So you can see on my Chromebook. And what I did, I copied a lot of my, I have a lot of my DOS games on my PC that I copied onto the Chromebook in different folders. So I got my good old games Galaxy folder here with all for games that had the DOS files inside, Zoom also. So I just copied them onto the Chromebook, but for this one it's a Steam copy of Heretic. And what you need to do is I already have it set up right here, and you can edit it by holding down on it, but I'll just make a new one, just a demonstration. So hit plus, new game, you can name this whatever you want. We'll just call it Heretic Test. If you enable SVN Core, that's to enable like real-time save states of your screen. I think it just dumps everything in memory into a save file. So you can enable that if you want. Here's where you got to choose your directory where the game's going to be. So I hit home, we'll go to Steam, go to Heretic, and inside base is where the exe folder is, or file is. You can crank these up to how strong of a DOS computer you want. I just go ahead and just max this out at 64. You can leave this at automatic if you want for a game that's not as stressful as Heretic, but you might as well crank this up to max. By default it'll do Sound Blaster emulation. If you want to pick the executable right off the bat, you can go to choose and pick your executable right here. I'm just going to leave that alone. And if you want to enable and bind controller support, this is where you're going to enable it right here. Go back and watch the Quake video if you want to see how to bind all the buttons on an Xbox One controller. And we'll just save that. On the paid version, it lets you do as many games as you want. If you got the demo version, it only lets you do one at a time. You'll have to hold down on this and delete one, or just keep editing it for each game that you're trying to test out. So tap on here. You could turn off these help windows, but they have a lot of context sensitive information in there. So close that out. Look for the executable, so you go dir executable, or you can go dir wide just to show everything. So type in Heretic. Load this up. Go new game. And I've already got my keys bound. Oh dear. And for these DOS games, they don't have a 11. This is before they had brightness settings. You can see in here, there's nothing for brightness. So I'll probably have to crank it up on here for you. Oops, it's volume. Crank up the brightness, make it a little bit easier to see. Oh, and I forgot that we don't have music, so let's go back and do that. I forgot I messed that up. dir.exe, because that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. So go setup. So by default, it'll, if you see right here, Gravis Ultrasound, because that's my other preset that I had made. By default, it'll emulate a Sound Blaster 16 for you, so you don't have to change anything with that. We need to switch this because I don't have this, the Gravis Ultrasound set up on this particular shortcut, so we'll switch this back to Sound Blaster. Port 220, just leave that, save parameters, go back into the game. Now we got the music. Oops. Let's go to one of my save games. Alright, so this is what it sounds like with Sound Blaster 16. The Xbox controller I had paired up just turned off. So that's what the message was. Alright, so that's what it sounds like. Sound Blaster 16. We'll swipe down, hit back, quit out of here. And then we'll go to my regular one right here where I already have it set up for Gravis Ultrasound. So on here I have an ultrasound folder inside the game folder with all the ultrasound files. Let's see if I can show it to you. And you're going to have to get these yourself. So inside here, you need to find all these files yourself. I think it's this one. No. Oops. Ultrasound, is it MIDI? Yeah. You'll know you have the right ones when you have all these PAT files. Here, but anyway. And then so you'll link it in here. Just going to close out of here. But this shortcut, or this shortcut I should say, I have it set up for Gravis Ultrasound. So we'll launch into that. Go Heretic. And this is what it sounds like with Gravis Ultrasound, like it was at the beginning. Files load. Gravis Ultrasound does sound a lot better. It's not a huge difference on Heretic, but yeah, it does sound better. And I'm doing keyboard only on this game. Like I said, it doesn't have like, I don't want to try to figure out how to get the mouse to work correctly with mouse look. So I'm just doing keyboard only. I forgot which key I found. Oh, there is no weapon X button. You just hit the numbers. this game? I think it was NRA. Oh, I don't remember the cheat codes. Yeah, that's a quick demo of Heretic using DOSbox on a Chromebook.